We will open the July 14th Gull Lake Steering Committee meeting up at this time. Everyone is present except our liaison to the city council, Jesse Zahn. Okay. All right. The first item on the agenda is approval of the minutes, and this would be from the April, right? April meeting
Oh,
Is
just
it-
got a notice.
is the last time we had an official meeting. We had a couple of cancellations for that. So I'd entertain a motion to approve or amend
Are we approving
the minutes,
Oh, the minutes.
the
Of
minutes
April.
of April, the April meeting.
Also move.
Do I have a second? Second by Bill. Discussion, all in favor, aye.
I
Okay, motion carried. The agenda, let's go back to agenda. I got a question on the tonight's agenda, Amber.
Yep.
Under new business, community update plan. Is that the master plan that's being done?
No, that was the letter that was
That's
in
the
your
letter.
packet. Yes.
Okay, got it. Okay,
However, I do have a note to talk about the master plan
okay, all right.
under discussions and whatnot.
Okay, so approval of the minutes and the agenda we've done. I don't believe anybody's here for open forum, so we'll move into old business. And Amber will make the engineering update for us.
Yes, so things are moving forward. The archaeological survey in Lakeshore was done in June. That came back fairly favorable. I've not seen specifics of the report, just was told that they were able to begin working on a redesign around the Goman property. So that has been completed. And Woodseth has sent those updated designs around the Goman property off to the tribes for their review. So
You
they
said
have,
tribes,
I believe so.
but they have to
He
go to
said-
multiple tribes?
I don't know, the tribe. He
The
sent
chi-
it to, I think they've been in contact with the Mille Lacs band.
Okay,
So they sent it to them for review. And
maybe it's to the Chippewa Nation,
could be.
because they're all Chippewa tribes.
Mhm.
So they've, whichever their contact has been, they've received it for review.
Question, real quick. What areas are we talking about the redesigning it?
Right at the Goman property where they found the burial mounds.
Yeah, that's a reroute. That was
Yeah,
a
so it can
reroute.
no longer staying on the road, staying parallel to 77 was not an option because of the burial mounds. So they had a secondary archaeological survey done around the Goman property. And so now Woodseth has made a trail design for that, and that is being reviewed.
That's right on the Nisswa Lakeshore. line.
Yep, it's on the lakeshore side, but it's right at the border there.
Mhm. Okay,
So
It's not right.
waiting for them to approve, comment, whatever reworks need to be done on that small section. Hopefully we'll have the answers. Joe was hopeful that we might have them by the end of the month, some comments from them. And then they'll have to submit the plans for formal review. So they've updated their trail designs on 77. They're, for the most part, almost complete. And again, those will all have to be sent in for another review with the counties based on some of what their original feedback was. And then it will go to the DNR. So the DNR only wanted the plans after everybody else has made their reviews and comments on it. So that's kind of where we're at on that, in terms of design and reviews. Still hopeful that might be able to open the bid in October. So kind of depends
So it
on.
had been scheduled for September, but now we're moving it back. a month.
He, in his notes said, we'll start the bid process notification mid-September, open bids mid-October. So bidding would open hopefully October, but the reviewing of these plans may change the timing of everything.
What's the timeline on the, is there like a 30-day?
I think
Is
it's
it open
typically a
for-
30-day.
It's a 30-day open period? Okay.
I think that's pretty typical.
Do they send the RFP for the bids to specific companies?
When I asked Jenny a little bit about the bidding process, and especially to some of Roger's questions and things that we've discussed about separating the project,
Mhm.
we're looking to Woodseth as to how to bid the project. At this time, we're still looking at bidding it as one full project.
Mhm.
We don't want to too quickly assume that is not feasible or that we're not going to get a favorable bid because of the size and the scope of the project. So we don't want to jump too quickly to those speculations.
Mhm.
It's kind of where the mindset is at right now. I'm bidding the project, but we'll defer to Woodseth on how to, and the specifics of the bidding process.
Well, partially to answer your question, the city is required to, they can send RFPs to anybody, but they also have to advertise in the construction
Mhm.
board.
Oh, sure,
Public.
yeah.
It's an open process, yeah.
Yeah,
Completely open process, and a contractor from Timbuktu could come in and bid.
but I was just thinking, there's different contractors that have done different segments of the trail so far that are familiar with it. You probably want bids from them, but whether you can,
would
I was
guess.
wondering if you can actually solicit bids. from
Yeah, you
them.
can.
You can.
You can call their attention to it.
Okay,
They're-
there you go.
don't miss
There
it.
you go, that's,
They're in the business of finding work,
Yeah,
so.
all right.
Just randomly find the newspaper right on their
See,
doorstep.
the ad in the paper, yeah. Okay.
So yes, it is moving through the review process. They've made the alternative design around the Goldman property, going for reviews on all of that. So still looking fall for the bidding process. Other questions
Have
on?
they discussed at all the idea of taking any trees in the winter or starting this, or are they gonna start in the spring?
I think it's all gonna have to start in the spring.
Hmm.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah,
We
just-
Yeah, we still have to get through the reviews and the land acquisition before we can do the bidding. So I think by the time all of that transpires, it might be a little late in the season.
Well, we could always hope for a winter with no snow.
There is that.
Hmm.
Well, since they're working right along the road, the only thing is Grandview is gonna build their roundabout.
Yeah,
Next week,
next Thursday, next summer.
Next summer.
spring,
next spring.
Next spring.
Yeah, Joe's always talked about, it. He's got two, and he's the engineer on
So-
both of them, right?
So the idea of having this-
So-
the trail clearing on Lower Roy Lake Road at the same time that all the traffic is gonna.
Yeah, because you know what's
Yeah.
gonna happen. Those locals are gonna divert onto
Well, and
Lower Roy Lake Road.
Joe explained at one of the meetings, I don't know which one, that they might use like a leapfrog approach where they'll clear a section, pave it, while they're paving, they'll clear and they'll keep kind of jumping. So they're not gonna clear the entire route and then go through and pave the entire route, as how Joe described it in one of the meetings. So it'll be a little more leapfroggy piece by piece.
Well, hopefully the roundabout won't take real long. The one they built on 49 was fairly quick.
It
you
was,
think?
it went pretty quick. That was information.
Hopefully it'll be like 100 days. You know, or
100
less,
days, so
Yeah.
that's,
Yeah,
85 days. I think they got that one done in something around.
I'm guessing you want it done. They want it done
40,
before
the
the
one
4th
on
of
49,
July.
it,
That is
yeah, it
quick.
didn't take much longer than that.
Mm-mm.
Okay, go ahead,
Well,
Amber. Bill?
Land acquisition, what are we doing? And
Yep, that's coming up. So we'll
Okay.
do, just a real quick, you guys received a budget update. Update there for you. Nothing's really changed in terms of the estimate when Seth was planning to give us another updated estimate after the final plans. And so at that point, some of your top numbers might adjust. So far in funding, we have $3,263,079 for funding. In terms of reimbursable expenses that have been incurred so far, we are at $174,257.
Did that amount come out of several funding accounts or out of one? That 174?
Well, these are all eligible for reimbursement. So right now it's coming out of NISWA's funds to be, because we have to pay the invoices and then we can submit for reimbursement.
Oh,
So right now it's coming out of NISWA's funds to be submitted for reimbursement later.
oh, okay, all right.
So Amber, I read in the minutes something about you could only do 4 reimbursements. What is
Correct.
that? You have a contract with the DNR, don't you?
Yep, in the contract, it states up to 4 reimbursements for both the regional and the legacy.
Well, that's not the way they
That's
conduct
crazy.
grants for the Outdoor Heritage Fund or the Clean Water Funds. You can ask, you can have as many reimbursements as you want with the Outdoor Heritage Funds. That's strange. That's what caught my attention.
Yes, it's because I went back and double checked all of them. The federal trail grant does not specify.
Huh.
So, okay,
The
I'm sorry.
DNR administers those other funds. too.
All, yeah,
I'm comparing that sheet to the sheet that we got in 2021, same format. And so we're now at almost a 48% less of a deficit. At that time, it was 676,000, and now it's the deficit or the difference is 351. That's a huge difference.
so up here on the top, this construction estimate was from January of 2022, so that number was changed a little bit. And we've also received the regional trail grant.
Mhm.
Yeah, but that regional trail grant, the addition didn't, I mean, I'm confused on, I can't figure out.
That
Where in the hell
January,
we made up 300 some $1,000.
that January construction estimate is lower than a previous estimate that was used.
Yeah, by 4.7%.
I would have to look up the previous.
Yeah, look at,
ones.
I'm just, I'm comparing it. I'm just confused on it.
Which
So
one are you
could you
looking
take a
at?
look? Pardon?
Which one are you looking at?
I'm looking at the budget summary, just the same format that the one we're looking at here.
Does it have a date
And
on it?
it's budget summary as of January of 2021. Anyhow, well, it was kind of interesting comparing the two. And I mean, that's great that we've got the difference deficit down to at least 300,000. We're only short
Yeah, it may be
300,000
much
now.
more than that
It'll be
once
really
they-
interesting to see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It's all just on paper right now.
Yeah.
We drove across Wyoming about 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago. And I'd estimate 75% of the pump jacks were not pumping. They were just sitting there.
Hmm.
So you can imagine what oil prices are gonna be doing.
Okay, all right, continue on, Amber.
Any other questions on that? Otherwise, I'll move on to land acquisition.
Mm-mm.
Okay, so in June, the information was presented to city council in a closed meeting. All of the information has been sent to the DNR, and that is where it is being reviewed right now. So once they get the nod from the DNR, then the city attorney will be presenting that information to the property owners. So they're
Hmm.
doing some behind the scenes work to kind of keep it all
Yeah.
timing wise appropriate. But it was given to city council and now it is with the DNR. So we're waiting to hear
Hmm.
back from them before going to the property owners.
That could take. a
So
while.
you weren't invited to the closed meeting?
I was not in the closed meeting, no.
So you haven't
So
seen
you
the
haven't
numbers?
heard any
I
rumors or
have
anything?
seen the numbers, but I was not in the meeting.
Where does, how does it compare to what we budgeted?
I think it was under,
Okay,
but
The
I don't want
DNR
to speak
does-
too much since the residents have not
Yeah,
seen their information yet either, and that's why it was a closed meeting as well.
but can the city pay more than what is the appraised value is? I would guess.
Those are
not.
questions for Jenny and the city attorney. I don't know what all of the parameters are on that.
I don't think the DNR would allow it because they don't allow it on regular fee title acquisitions.
When the property owners have their own opportunity to get their own appraisal and
Yeah. uh-huh,
there's still a process that everything needs to go through and the appropriate timing of notification and so.
Yeah. Have you heard from any of the property owners about this, about the appraisal at all? Any comments or any?
No,
Anything,
just
Kevin?
the perpetual, when's it coming? The timeline, it's
have-
mostly just all timeline based.
Is there anyone who's donating? Have they been approached? to donate?
That is an
Good
item of
question.
consideration, however, they've not been specifically asked for anything, like they haven't even received their evaluation yet. So that is, everyone has the opportunity to donate, yes.
Mhm.
A higher likelihood if we ask.
Correct. So that is being worked on, still being worked on, under review at the DNR.
Any idea timeline on when you're gonna hear back?
I'm a very bad guesser on everybody else's timeline. The meeting was June 21st. So I believe it,
City council. meeting,
yep,
wasn't it?
was the city council meeting, so I think it would have gotten to the DNR
Don't hold your
by the
breath.
end of June, and then factor in a holiday, and here we are. Yep.
Okay. Okay, very good.
So, I mean, theoretically, the land acquisition could drag on for a long time, depending on what the landowners want to do. Say it drags on into early winter, can we still keep moving ahead with our plans to
Well,
start
there's
in the
still
spring?
you can still initiate the 90-day condemnation, which
Okay.
is still 90 days, yes. So yeah, the city attorney had it all spelled out in the steps of,
What's the 90 days that they have to respond?
there's several different stipulations of when they can notify and
You probably know, Mark, what that's all about.
Well, it's more likely, Bill probably has done more of it, but
Essentially, and the laws may have changed since I dealt with them, but essentially, there's two methods if it gets into condemnation.
Mhm,
One is called quick take,
mhm.
and the city simply takes the property, the court eventually sets the value,
Right.
and the city pays it. I
Mm.
mean, they have taken it, therefore they have to pay. The other is the long-term process where they go through the condemnation process in court first. Then the city decides if they're willing to proceed at the price that the court sets.
Okay.
yeah, and the city attorney spelled all that out for city council.
so at the end of the day, we're gonna get it. The city's gonna get the land. It's just a
Yeah,
question of how
well,
much they're
yeah.
gonna pay.
Yes.
We just hope we don't have to
Yeah.
go to condemnation.
Right,
And most of these pieces of ground aren't that big.
No.
right.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, I think the only one that's in, like the ones who will fight it are the ones along
They have the
Hazelwood,
horses. Mhm.
or are gonna struggle with, what it does to their front sidewalk and things like
Yeah.
that. And then the guys, the
Oh.
people with the horses,
Horses,
Yeah,
right.
yeah, the
Because-
horses.
Rest.
they're just some of those people are just difficult.
Yes.
We know that.
We know.
We know one.
I think they've actually got the right of way they need. They might need some slope easement, but
Yeah.
the,
Well, anything I mean, some of those people are really impacted, so they're gonna,
that's the impact.
Yeah, because I think that's their property.
yeah, and so if we need 1 inch of their ground, they're gonna,
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
lower
Oh,
Royal-
Hazelwood,
Hazel,
close to the park.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Lower Royal all the way down, once we're past Paula's area there, that's where the city doesn't have the right of way.
Mhm.
right,
And then I think, and actually, I suppose down along 77, if they're wandering off of the right of way down there too, so.
it'll be interesting to see, I want to actually, I don't know where the right of way actually is,
Yeah.
because that's always interesting. It may have nothing to do with where the road is,
yeah.
so.
So do we have to buy an easement on that DNR property?
Yeah, those were evaluated.
Okay.
Isn't that beautiful? The DNR gives you money to buy land from them.
Yeah.
It's just a-
They don't, it is,
Yeah.
they don't actually give us the money. They're just the fiscal agent.
They'll donate, right? They'll donate their parts, I'm sure. So is the appraiser's job complete now? They finished? Okay,
Mhm. Yes,
Wow, that's great.
yeah,
so
okay,
it is all moving along.
okay, very good. I think and if there's no other questions on land, we're ready to go into the new business, the newsletter that's up on the board that is being sent, right, to all of those people?
Yeah,
all the property
so
owners?
in June, through some email chains, we kind of discussed more so of over the summer here, sending out a letter to people along the trail route. I kind of based this newsletter off of some previous info flyers that had been created. And hopefully moving forward, trying to set the precedent on a framework for how to communicate and find the information as we move towards and into construction for people to find the information. So my hope is that with this update, we can mail it out to the residents along the route. And then it has information for how to continue to find information on the website. And I can continue to make these newsletters, post them on the website more regularly for updates for the community. So I had one from 2019, I saw one from 2020, and now here would be another update for 2022. Unfortunately, we have a lot of updates over the years. So looking for any thoughts on that process. It basically invites anyone in who has specific questions to come look at the maps, come talk to me,
Yeah,
find information on the website, watch our YouTube channel,
Yeah.
kind of all these different avenues to find information
Mhm.
as we proceed through the project. So
and you've included the current timeline, putting bidding around October construction, so that's current and,
yep, that would be current best guess,
right, yeah.
pending
Very good.
everything keeps moving productively.
Just a comment on your map.
Yep,
In your legend, you have red for phase 5 Fairview Township remaining 3 miles, but on the map it's brown.
I can try to get them to more similar shades of red. I do not have the original of this map, so it is my best effort.
Well, you could just change the legend to brown.
Yep, I can try and get those to,
That'd be the easiest thing to do,
Yeah.
right?
Uh-huh.
well, I can try to get them to a more close match, but again, I don't have the shades that were necessarily
Well,
used.
it
Is-
isn't even close to red. So whatever you
Just
can do
change it
to
to
make that
brown.
consistent with the legend.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's current, complete. So, so you're ready to send?
Yeah, I'm just looking for comments from you guys. If you think that's a reasonable
any other
plan, if there's
comments?
anything else that you may think might be,
Well, you have I'm back to the map, you have on here where the future mid-trail trailhead is. You might want to put an arrow for the final trailhead. So people see it's in Nisswa.
okay. Yeah,
Just a comment, not a biggie.
Nisswa Lake Park.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Is there a trailhead for East Gull Lake that I should indicate as well?
I don't know.
Trailhead at East Gull Lake, boy.
Or we only have, the
don't-
only indicated trailhead is, I can look back through my master plan notes to see if there's any other mention of a trailhead in East Gull Lake.
So there, we have a joint powers agreement with all the cities for this project, but do you not meet as a joint powers board ever? Seems like that might be a good idea.
Mhm.
Just a suggestion.
Yep, we've all had discussions over different topics at different times. And now East Gull Lake has somebody new. And I think
Oh, yeah.
Fairview is still very much in the thick of just trying to
Right.
build it.
Yeah.
As
Did we
well
ever
as,
resolve the golf cart issue?
for Nisswa, we are not to have them on the trail.
Oh, okay.
Remember, the goal is then to send out basically this letter. I'm wondering if we shouldn't have a little bit of verbiage in there related to the safety issue. You and I were talking about it a little bit earlier here. Where, you know, because of the increase in city street traffic and the increase in bike traffic, and particularly in the summer, that we feel that, you know, there's a real imperative need for the trail along with just the recreational aspect of it.
That's a good point.
I mean, I was telling her I had a situation, I won't go completely through it, but this afternoon, actually it was late this morning, when I had a pickup riding my tail and a bunch of bikers weaving all over the road.
Mhm.
and, You know, it could have easily, if I hadn't stopped, I think easily somebody could have gotten.
On Lower Roy?
Yeah.
Really?
Mhm.
Yeah, it was on Lower Roy. In fact, it was just short of your house.
Phil, are you suggesting verbiage in a way that just highlights the urgency and necessity of the trail, or like information actionable something?
I think that would kind of highlight that there's an urgency from a safety standpoint. To get a facility built where we can get that traffic off of the street.
Now lately, we've had these guys that are practicing their cross-country skiing on skates. There's like 5 or 6 of them every Saturday and Sunday, and they take up the whole
know anything
road, and then
about
they
that?
have a biker with them, and they do not move for cars.
They're belligerent about it.
You know,
They are, yes. Do you, you know who I'm talking about? Yeah.
yeah, it's Bill's group
They
here.
look like a bunch of,
It isn't like, it's nobody there.
bunch of 14-year-old, 15-year-old proteges of Bill with
Oh,
their shorts on. no
Bill, you better
shirts,
talk
no-
to them.
No cards, no nothing, just
No.
picking up the whole road.
they
I think
just
they
take,
said Bill told us we could use this road.
and they go all the way up to 371 on Hazelwood, and it's really dangerous.
Well, no, I mean, it is, I mean, Lower Ware Lake Road is the widest bike trail in the state.
You know, Mark, would you go to the Public Works Committee and tell them that so that they don't put the new recycling center there?
Yeah. Oh, I think Bill's idea is a good suggestion. Why don't you, we've got some time here, put something together and send us a draft and just, and so we could comment on it. Is that okay?
I know
Yeah,
it's,
but- well, this
I'm
is
not
a
sure
chance
if we
for
need to
comment.
put
You've
it
had
in
it
a-
for a week,
I'd have to
so I
read
can
it if
update
it
that.
is.
well, I think it's important to reassure people that live along there, because it is a huge issue, and people talk about it all the time.
Yeah,
That, you know, when's the trail gonna be built? I thought it was gonna be built this year. You know, I hear people talk about it all the time. So just to assure them that we are aware of the safety issues.
I think it's real. I mean, every
It's
time
very
I go
real,
over that,
yeah.
it's,
Oh, yeah. It's-
yeah.
And it's becoming, bikers are becoming more belligerent, really.
Well, they are.
They're using
And
that more and more road.
and then
Yeah.
between bikers, the walkers, and now the electric scooters and all the other little things that travel along at about 15, 20 miles an hour with no work, sitting up there going down. It's getting to be a real hazard.
There's also more golf cart traffic.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Well, there's 5 places that rent golf carts in this one now, I think.
5?
I think there's 5.
Wow.
Look what we've started.
And they'll deliver. I mean, and the ones that were on the borders, people deliver them. And, you know,
Mhm.
they're all over the place. They are.
Okay, anything else on the letter that I think that Bill's suggestion of adding a safety sentence or two would be appropriate. Anything else before we move on?
You could include in that safety just to increase in use of outdoor spaces, outdoor recreation. Just we're seeing the whole country is seeing, especially our state is seeing a rapid increase in outdoor recreation, and had a safety,
Yeah,
tie that into
yeah.
the safety concern and the need for more
More
safe
trails,
places to
yeah.
recreate. Yep.
Okay,
Okay.
all right, very good. Number 7 is any special concerns anybody has? Amber?
I'll bring it up right now. It's not a concern, but I wanted to let everybody know that Nisswa Parks and Rec is undergoing a master plan right now. We have a survey that is open through the end of the month, so highly recommend taking that survey. It can be found on the city's website. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors. The more info we have, the better this plan will be. Right now, they're taking a poll of what kind of amenities the city is looking at, what kind of recreation use there is. Step 2 is putting it into some concept designs. So one concept, we're going to do some concept designs for City Park over here with the fields and the hockey rink. And the other one is a concept design for the acquired parcels on Camp Lincoln Road. So super important that we get as much input from the community in terms of what sort of things they would like to see in the community, how they currently recreate, how safe they feel, how well our maintenance is. So those are some of the types of questions that are on this survey. Open till the end of the month, and then there'll be another opportunity to provide more insight and feedback starting probably September. So all of that is found on the Park and Rec page on the city website.
Okay,
Yeah, I just have one thing. This is not really pertinent to our trail, but in terms of the Greater Minnesota Regional Trails Council, one of the things that Roger and I were talking about is they really, because it's not our fault that construction costs have gone up and gas has gone up, I feel they really should be looking at totally funding projects that they have already approved. Because there's a number of projects that are going to be behind. I mean, Fairview is one of them. They did get money from LCCMR, but that was not from the Greater Regional Trails. And I know you talked to Brian Pike about that. And I just wondered what did he say?
Yeah, okay, so Brian Pike, as you all know, he's one of the representatives on the that commission that makes those legacy decisions. Brian indicated when I asked him about the COVID period of legacy helping out some of those grants that got hit with the COVID period and increases and layoffs and couldn't work it. And he indicated to me that we're probably one of the few that may have been impacted. And I guess I'm a little confused at that. I would think that we're looking at, in that funding mechanism, it's not only trails, it's also park initiatives too that can get money. So I don't know if in fact we are the only one, meaning Fairview and us. I don't know. I haven't explored that, but I think you bring up a good point that they should give us some consideration and you would think that they would want to see their projects
Well, yeah,
completed.
yeah, that's my
Wouldn't you?
point is why invest in new projects if we can't complete the ones
Right.
we've approved?
That kind of ties in too with Fairview.
Yes,
How
absolutely.
do we support, what can we do to help Fairview? Because that, I mean, that's the key. I mean, the whole thing is great, but it's nothing compared to what it's gonna be when that connection is made.
Mhm.
And,
True.
it's like the last bit of money after all this
Yeah.
and all this effort. Why are they struggling at all? Do they need technical help? Do they need lobbying help? Do they need support? I mean, we can all send off a letter or send as a group send off a letter, but what else can we do to help them? Because, it's just Marla over there. and-
Yeah, exactly. And it seems to be even with this LCCMR grant, they're still going to be short, right, Amber? I understand
That's
it's
what
like
Marla thinks. So far they have the LCCMR for just shy of 1.4 million. And they also were awarded the regional trail grant for 300,000. So they have just shy of 1.7 million in funding, and I think it's around 3 miles. So if you equate it to where we're at, and we're at 3 million, they still have probably 1 million to 1.5 to go, give or take.
Yeah, well, remember Matt is also on that council.
Not anymore.
He's not.
He moved.
Oh,
Out,
good.
he moved into Aiken and Aiken County is not in this
Oh.
district.
Well, how dare he do that?
That's right.
Come on.
So I mean, I can ask, get into a little lengthier conversation with Brian again on it. I'm not sure if we need to, if we need to push this or not, but
Well, it could be a lengthy battle because first you have to convince the Greater Regional Council to,
right.
to do that. I mean, I guess we could just submit a second, grant proposal and then use that as the
Good.
battleground.
Right.
But then it can get to the legislature, and remember, this year, the legislatures, when they got to funding some of these grants, like they threw out a bunch of LCCMR projects that had already been recommended, and then some of the members added in their own that had never been
Yeah.
vetted correctly. I mean, it was a mess.
Right. I mean, this is just one of those that I know common sense doesn't prevail,
No,
but this is one of those where it's so obvious.
So
So whatever we can do
right.
to help Marla and
Yeah.
those people, because I swear, if this thing languishes for 2 or 3 years where we should be having more of the whole thing complete and we just can't get that part done, it's just gonna be a shame.
Yeah. Well, and we're not done here yet either,
No, I know.
we're gonna be right on the edge of, from a financial standpoint.
The only
Hoping
good news
not.
about Fairview is compared to the construction they're going through in Lakeshore and Nisswa, that one's a piece of cake.
Yeah.
Construction in Fairview is, there's a lot less of, the construction is like half as difficult or maybe less.
well, they're
Yeah,
not dealing with a
right.
lot of properties.
Exactly. Yeah.
Bituminous trail.
But you can just imagine that, With very few approaches to go across and nice wide ditches. I mean, they actually have right away. They probably don't have to acquire anything, just about relative to, I mean, just county says, go ahead and do it.
Well, unfortunately, Carrie Rude would have been a good advocate for us, but she's not
She's,
running for
all right.
reelection because her colleague would not move 10 miles into a different district. Oh,
Process.
what?
I think she got tired of the process.
Oh, could be.
Okay, anything else we want to talk about before we close the meeting? I guess we need to talk about when our next meeting is going to be, whether or not we need an August. What's your feeling at this point, Amber?
I will say, I hope we have information for August. I will for sure send you guys the rework of this letter,
Okay.
and we can go through that via email if you guys all agree that that's a good approach at this point to mail the letter and post them on the website. And I can definitely let you know anything major I'm coming into, but we might have to be, again, flexible. I might not get the information for the August 11th. It might come in at, week 3 of August. So just asking for the next couple of months, a little bit of flexibility as we get this pressing information in. I might not want to hold on to it, or we'll just try and go with it as we get it. City council might have to do the same.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So
Okay,
I will keep you posted.
It would be good to get the letter out as soon as possible.
Sure.
so-
Yep, I will try and get it reworked by early next week at the latest to mail by the end of the
Okay.
week would be the hope.
very good.
Great.
Okay, anything else? If not, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.